What's going on? Thought I would just jump on and do a quick recap on UFC 303 and then have a wee look ahead to July and what's going on in the UFC in July. Yeah, so 303, just going over the picks. Did pretty bad, better than I thought at the time, but that 1-4 result on the main card kind of screwed us. Sold on the prelims. The Simone Oliveira fight, obviously that one went to decision. Reasonably close fight. Soria quite comfortably beat Hernandez. Bidet Arlovski was a terrible fight. I've seen some people saying Arlovski could have won that, but I don't know. I reckon Bidet won it. And Waterson Gomez Robertson, obviously, Robertson kind of all over her. From what I hear, I didn't actually get to watch that because I was going from place to place, so I missed that fight. I wanted to make sure I got there for the Talbot fight. Watched that one. Great finish. Really, really quick. Jordan Silva. Yeah, Silva looks good, man. That Fighting Nerds team are really picking up at the moment. Other than that, Philly Swanson, another close-ish fight. I mean, I thought Philly won, but I could see an argument for Swanson. Piper Barrio, Piper with a quick knockout. Machado Gary MVP. I'm not sure I mentioned it on the predictions or not, but I did think if Gary worked his grappling as he did, he could definitely win that. I thought Page would have too much for him on the feet, which ended up being true, but I just wasn't sure Ian Gary was going to go for the takedowns. I thought his ego would get the better of him, but it didn't. Fair play to him for getting that win. Fairly impressive. Obviously, that TKO cut finished the Bueno Silva Chiasson fight. I would still pick Bueno Silva if this fight happened, got rebooked. I don't know if it will or not, probably not, but if it got rebooked, I'd still pick Bueno Silva. I think she wins that fight more often than not. Smith Dolidze, terrible fight. Quite boring. And then we get to the co-main, which that was absolutely, I think it came out like just before the main card started. I think that they were talking about the whole Ige story broke. That was crazy. BMF move from Ige. Both Ige and Lopez, to be fair. I just kept my Lopez pick there because I would have picked Lopez over Ige full camp or on short notice. So I still claimed that one. Yeah, decent fight, to be fair. Probably that one and Swanson Philly were probably the best fights of the night. Yeah. And then obviously Alex Pereira doing exactly the opposite of what I thought would happen and knocking out Yuri Prohaska. Overall 6 and 7 in the card, 6 out of 13. 6 out of 13? Yeah, 6 out of 13. Not great, not horrendous. Once again, look to do better in the future. Obviously no card this weekend, so I'm just gonna go over what's coming up in the UFC over the next month, have a quick chat about that. So first up, next weekend from now, Namajunas versus Cortez. Yet another main event change up. Obviously Macy Barber out. I don't know whether to call it injury or illness. I read her post on Instagram and it looks like she might be in quite a bad way. So it might be a while till we see her again, but hopefully she can make a recovery. She's one of my favourite fighters in general. Definitely one of my favourite women's fighters. Pretty exciting to watch. Good style. Yeah, we'll get into that a bit more in a second. Lemos versus Jandiroba. Yeah, again, we'll get into this, but like I put there, what the hell was this? Yeah, weak card. Then UFC 304. Just about recovers the month. Absolutely cracking card once again. We'll get into that in a minute. So first we'll go over UFC Denver. Namajunas versus Cortez. There's only 9 fights booked for this card so far. I'm picking they might add a couple more, maybe one more at least, onto the prelims, or they might shift main card fight down and add another one to make it 5 and 5. Anyway, I mean, there's some fairly solid fights on here. Freeman versus Petrovsky should be okay. It's closely lined, but will be competitive. Santos versus Agapova. I'm pretty sure I've watched both these girls fight. obviously I'll do predictions next week, but I think Luana's probably got that. Arrojo versus Jazz Divisius, that's going to be a good fight, I think. Abdul Razak Al Hassan versus Cody Brundage. Yeah, that's a middleweight fight. Rosa versus Christian Rodriguez, I like that. Bonfim versus Angelusa, interesting fight. I like watching the Bonfim brothers fight, so it'd be good to see Gabriel out there again. Ponzinibbio versus Salikov, that was looking like it was going to be the co-main, so I'm glad they brought in Dober versus Davis, because Dober's a cracker. Oh, that doesn't good. Yeah, good fighter. Yeah, so Ponzinibbio versus Salikov, good fight. I like that. I like watching Ponzinibbio fight. Usually pretty interesting. And then, obviously, as I mentioned, Dober versus Davis. I think this is probably a layup for Dober, unless I'm missing something with Davis. But yeah, I'd say they've just thrown this fight together to get Dober on the card. But anyway, then Namajunas versus Cortez. Interesting fight. I think this fight favours Rose a little more than the Barber matchup did. Still dangerous though. Cortez is good. It'll be interesting. I mean, this is a real, I guess, ceiling tester for Cortez. Like, if she loses to Rozier, she may just be like a 5 to 12 ranked flyweight for a long time. Or if she can beat Rose, she really does push herself into that top echelon of the division, putting her name up there with obviously the two girls entrenched in the title fight, Grasso and Shevchenko, then Blanchfield, Fioro, Barber's up there too, I think. Yeah, so she really gets her name up there if she can get a win here against Rose. And honestly, with a loss here, I'm not sure where Rose goes. So it's probably pretty important she wins this one. Overall, as I say, not a horrendous card. Fairly solid for a fight night. This would be a good card if it was an Apex fight night, since it is a crowded fight night though. You maybe expect a little bit more, but it's got potential to be a good card because there are some exciting fights on there. Lemos versus Jandiroba already got more fights than the last card. We're looking at 12 fights here. Prelims being opened up by Big Mo Usman against Thomas Peterson. Not sure. Obviously, no, Mo Usman is not. I don't think I've come across Thomas Peterson yet. Yeah. Luana Carolina versus Pudilova. I recognise both those names. Couldn't tell you who's going to win though. I have to do some more looking into that. Like Razabov versus Trey Ogden. Another couple of guys I've heard about. A good lightweight scrap. Maverick versus Barboza. I believe Miranda Maverick was she supposed to fight Cortez before she got pulled up to the main event of UFC Denver, I think. Anyway, I know she did have another opponent there though, so I'm not sure what this is. I guess Maverick will probably win that. Then we've got Brian Kelleher versus tough alumni Cody Gibson. Yeah, that's a fight. Lee versus, is that Ryder Emil? Not sure. Don't think I've come across either of those guys. Yeah, be interesting. Featherweight. Cody Durden versus Bruno Silva. That should be a good fight, Cody Durden. Then moving on to the main card, we got Duho Choi, Bill Algeo, Kurt Holobar. Yeah, sorry, I can't pronounce that. Kurt Holobar versus Kainan. Kurt Holobar is an interesting cat. Obviously, also off tough. I believe it was the same season as Cody Gibson. Or was... Yeah, they're both on the last season, the McGregor-Chandler season, yeah. Steve Garcia, Seong Woo Choi. That'll be exciting. The co-main event of Brad Tavares and Junyong Park. Yeah, that probably sums up this event better than the main event does. And obviously, the main event's Lemos and Jandiroba. Like, it's number 3 versus number 5, so technically this has got title stakes. But when you consider that at strawweight you've got Zhang, obviously Yon Xiaonan just fought for the belt. Lemos fought for the belt before that. Jandiroba with a win here gets close, but I'm not sure Lemos will get back to a title fight after the performance. Well, as long as Zhang Weili is champion, because of that performance last time. Yeah, it's a really average card, man. Like, it's just fights at the end of the day. Yeah, not much more to say. Moving on to 3 or 4. I love this card, man. Pratnio Bukowskis opening up the early prelims. I'm assuming I just took this off the UFC website and sort of did the top 5 as the main card, next 5 as the prelims, and the last 4 as the early prelims. In the order they've got it listed at the moment, so things might change, but I'm picking this will be somewhat similar at least. Then after that first fight, Bannon versus Oliveira. I think I've watched Shana once. I don't remember being particularly impressed, but hey, it'll be alright. Sam Patterson versus Kiefer Crosby. Good lord. Christian Leroy Duncan versus Robert Bryshik. See, I recognise that Bryshik name. Let me just quickly look. Leroy Duncan's good. Like pretty damn good. I'm just not sure if I've watched Robert Bryshik fight before. Did he come on short notice against someone? Ihor Poitier. He lost to Ihor. Okay. Leroy Duncan's got it in the bag. Then what I've got written down as the prelims: Oban Elliott versus Preston Parsons, Mick Parkin versus Lucas Brzezinski, Cowlin Loughran versus Raymond Tavares, Molly McCann versus Bruno Brazil, and Nathaniel Wood versus Daniel Pineda. Fun prelims. Mick Parkin's a good heavyweight prospect. Oban Elliott, he's pretty early into his UFC career, if not his debut. Cowlin Loughran versus Raymond Tavares will be interesting. Molly McCann, hopefully looking to win here against Bruno Brazil. I believe they're trying to get her to win, coming off a few losses. They try to actually push her into... I feel like they tried to push her into title contender with that Blanchfield fight. I mean, either way, it was a good way to either boost Blanchfield off McCann's popularity, or if McCann had won that, it would have been a title shot. So that was a win-win fight for the UFC. And then Nathaniel Wood versus Daniel Pineda. Big fan of Wood. Nathaniel Wood's a good fighter. I just looked up. This is a contender series for Oban Elliott, and then he beat Val Woodburn. So yeah, it's hard to tell if that he took Val Woodburn to a decision, which is interesting. I did watch that fight. I don't remember it. Can't have been that good. But yeah, looks to be a good prospect out of Wales. And then the main card. This is beautiful. This is what I live for. Solid main card. You got a 6-starter fight in Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze, a contender fight in the featherweight division. A win here, I reckon, puts Arnold Allen one elite win away from potentially a title shot, maybe 2, with how the situation's going at the moment. And Giga looks to get back on track here with a win against Arnold Allen, which I don't think he'll get. I think Arnold Allen will win that fight. This next fight, Mikhaev versus Cup, is super interesting because this is a real test for Mikhaev, because he struggled against Alex Perez last time out. Mikhaev's a weird one. Like, he came in super hyped, super young, obviously. And he sort of did live up to those expectations early on. Some people did question whether he was elite or not. I don't think he's elite yet. I think he definitely could get to a belt or a title fight at least. But I think he might get set back here by Cup, because Cup is a bit more experienced in the pro scene anyway. And yeah, I believe Manil Cup, with his past experience, I think he was a belt holder in a different division. Not different division, sorry, different promotion. But yeah, that's certainly an interesting one. Paddy Pimblett versus Bobby Green, sick fight. So not sure I'm going to pick in this one. I think I'll probably end up going with Paddy. I know Bobby Green's not like a shit defensive grappler, but I think seeing what Paddy did to Tony Ferguson, and I know Tony Ferguson's like completely done at this point, but it was like still somewhat impressive. So I think he can probably work the grappling on Bobby Green, who isn't a gigantic lightweight, and I think he might just get it done. But hold the thought on that one. Then Tommy Aspinall versus Curtis Blades. I'm shitting myself for this one. If Tom loses, I will probably cry, just because of the situation more than the actuality of it. Blades sold. Obviously, that first fight, they were chucking them aside. I went back and watched it. Obviously, it was like a minute. Was it even a minute? It was no more than like 90 seconds long. And Tom did his ACL, stepping back on it. Yeah, Curtis Blades has a path to victory here, but I just think Aspinall. I'm not sure how he's going to win. I need to look at a few things, but I'm not sure how. But I reckon he's going to win as the favourite. And then Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad. Also went back and watched the first fight. It's two rematches. The top two fights. Went back and watched this one. Leon was piecing him up. I do think if it goes down the stretch, we could see Leon fade and Bilal take over. I think like we could see Leon win the first 3 rounds with crisp striking, and then Bilal sort of taking over with the cardio. But Leon, I don't know. It's hard to say. But I think Leon will get it done. I'd like to say he knocks him out. That'd be funny. You already know Bilal Muhammad's going to be made a meme of if he gets knocked. Well, regardless, but if he gets knocked out, it'll be a huge meme. But yeah, Leon Edwards, I've got winning that one again. I'll get into specifics when I get closer and do the preview for that card. Yeah, so overall, July, as I said, 304 almost recovers it. 3 cards in the month, obviously this first weekend off. I'd give it, I'd probably give the Namajunas Cortez, we'll talk in expectation value. Namajunas versus Cortez, in terms of a card for a crowded UFC fight night, I'd say 6.5 out of 10. This Lemos Jandiroba card, like a 4. Some names on there, but not a lot. And then 304, I would say, is like a 8.5 out of 10 in terms of a pay-per-view. So yeah, overall probably like a 7. What does that average out to be? About a 6 or a 7 out of 10 month. I would push it up to a 7 just because that pay-per-view is so good. Yeah, let's see. I'm hoping the 2 English lads can hold on to their belts, because I think it's good for the UFC to have a few foreign champions. Obviously Bilal would be foreign, but Curtis would be from the States. I do like it's mixed around. It means they can go to different locations for pay-per-views and headline with local fighters, because if they lose these 2, who the hell is going to headline a pay-per-view in England? They'll just be reduced to fight nights again, which yeah, not as fun. Yeah, so did shit on picks once again. Alright cards coming up. Can't see myself doing too well on the 2 fight nights. Probably throw darts at the board for those ones, to be fair, somewhat. And I'll really hone in on that 304 card and try and get some accurate predictions out this time. Yeah, cheers for tuning into the Yap session. Yeah, I'll be back next week with Namajunas versus Cortez predictions, and then beyond that, the other 2 cards in July, I'll be following up with some predictions on those. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe if you can, if you would like. And yeah, catch you in the next one. See ya.